For this project, we are going to create a new Photoshop file, and we're going to use the photo preset. We're going to go to default Photoshop size, but we're going to make sure it's in the portrait orientation. So that's 5 inches by 7 inches at a resolution of 300. We're going to hit create. It's going to give us this canvas like you see right here. Click right up in the top right and go to reset essentials. That way your screen looks like it should in the default mode. We're going to go to file, and we're going to add in some assets. So we're going to go to file, we're going to go to place embedded, and the first thing that we're going to add is the picture of the pineapple. Now this pineapple has already been isolated. You'll see that it has a transparent background, so that's all well and good for us. We're going to do this interesting technique where we are going to actually first resize it, so Command T, resize it like so. We want it to just sort of take up this much space like so. Approximate values are fine for this project. And we're going to duplicate this. So we right click and we go to duplicate layer, and we're going to change the blend mode of the top one so that it's multiply. This is just going to make it look a little bit richer, but then I'm going to back off the opacity to about 70%. Let's make it 60% right in here. So that just, you can see the difference right here, just makes it look a little bit richer. We are dealing with blend modes here. Next, what we're going to do is go to our background, and we are going to choose a white color for our foreground, and then we're going to choose a sky blue color for our background. Now the background color that I'm using is hexadecimal code 96E3FF, but you can choose any sky blue color that you want. And then on our background, what we're going to do is go to filter, and we're going to go to render clouds, and you're going to see that it's going to create this sky blue cloudy background, and the way that it's doing that is based on your foreground and background colors. So if you had different colors right there, then the color scheme would be a little bit different here. Next, what we're going to do is go to File, Place Embedded, and we're going to grab flower number 1, a hibiscus, I believe. We're going to place it, and we're going to position it in the top layer right here, and we're going to resize this, so Command T, like so, and I'm going to position it here for starters. And I'm going to take my object selection tool and go like so, and you'll see that I ended up selecting some of the hand right here and some of the background that I don't want. So I'm going to come into quick selection tool, and I'm going to press the option key, and that's going to switch it to the subtractive mode right here. Right, so the subtractive mode allows me to deselect part of the image that I don't want. And once I have just the flowers selected right here, I can add a mask, and I feel pretty good about how that selection looks. I'm going to position it down here in the bottom right hand corner. Now notice right here, if I zoom in, it's got a little bit of green on the edge that I don't particularly care for. So in that case, I'm going to click on my mask. In my properties panel, I'm going to click the select and mask button, and I'm going to change my blend mode to on black, and I'm going to switch it to on white. So that it contrasts, because that's a dark color on the edge there. Make sure that my opacity is set to 100%. And with the Refine Edge Brush tool, I'm going to use a small brush using the brackets in order to change the size of the brush. I'm just going to sort of paint the edge right here. And Photoshop will do a pretty good job of just sort of cleaning this up and getting rid of that color that's on the edge. So let me just sort of finish that here and here, like so. And there, I like how that looks. Right here, you see there's a little bit of artifact that's coming through. If I click to my brush tool right here, and I use the subtractive mode right here, I can remove that from the selection as well. And then I hit OK. Now I've got a nice clean looking selection right here. I'm going to fine tune its size by pressing Command T like so, and then positioning it down here. Now, one thing that I can do is I can change its color by adding an adjustment layer, and I'm going to add a hue saturation adjustment layer. So you notice that I can change the colors of the flower right here, but notice it's changing everything else as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and I'm going to create a clipping mask so that it only impacts the layer beneath. So I'm going to slide this so that it is in the sort of purpley region over, let's go right into here, okay? Now it's a little bit too saturated, so I'm going to lower the saturation right here. I can play with the brightness a little bit as well. And I'm feeling pretty good about how that looks right in here. If you don't like it, you can always turn it off, as you see I did right here. All right, so up to you if you want to keep it on or turn it off. All right, we're going to repeat that process. We're going to go to File, Place, Embed. We're going to choose Flower 2 right here, and we're going to place it, and we're going to use our resize technique to put it in the top corner, commit the change, take our object selection tool, and we're going to select the pink flower. And you'll see right here, it got a little bit of the extra green that I don't want, so I'm gonna get rid of that, holding the Option key just like we did before, and clean it up as best we can, add a mask like so, position it in the top right corner. All right, now I like the way that that looks. I think that this one doesn't look good, so I'm actually going to turn off the hue saturation technique because I don't think it's particularly working for us, and move this down into here. All right, next what we're going to do is File, Place, Embed, and we're going to add in this photo right here, and we're going to resize it. We're going to make it sort of seem like a postcard of sorts. So I'm going to tilt it about 30 degrees in the counterclockwise 15 degrees in the counterclockwise direction right here. I've also resized it a bit, and I'm going to add an FX stroke to it. All right, the stroke that I'm going to add is going to be on the inside, and it's going to be 25 pixels right in here. Might have to type it in. And I like the way that that looks. All right, we have one more image to add, and we're going to add some text. We're going to go to File, Place, Embed, and we're going to add this stamp. Now, the stamp has a transparent background. I have to resize it so that it feels like the size of a stamp. I want this to be at the absolute topmost layer right in here, and I will position it so it looks like it has gone through the Postal Service. All right, so right about here. All right, now finally what I'm going to do is I'm going to Hawaii with my text tool, and I want it to be above everything else. So on the topmost layer, I click there, and I'm going to use my type tool, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to write with a large font. Let's say 100 right here. I'm going to write the word Hawaii. All right, I'm going to center that text, and I'm going to use my move tool like so. Now the font that I have is Arial Black. 100 is too big, so let's lower that down to, let's say 60, let's try 72. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about 72. Now you'll notice it's a little bit difficult to see what that says just because of all of the light colors. So we're actually going to add a gradient overlay. So a gradient overlay allows us to choose two different colors that we can switch between. So if I double click on color right here, I want to choose sort of like a light orange right here. I want to keep it white on the top as well, and I can change the degree to which it is transitioning in this area here as well. To make it stand out a little bit more, I can add a stroke. The stroke that I'm going to add, let's make it contrast, significantly. So we'll go with like a really light electric green. We're going to put the stroke this time on the outside of the text, and we're going to make it a little bit narrower, so like 10 pixels like so. All right, that is the composite that we are building.